Yeah, so really what we're seeing here is a product of the streaming revolution per se, and that's something that has really gripped over the past couple of years, and this year has ramped up in terms of the pressure that it's applying on writers, directors, and other below the line workers. The major issue that's really kicked all of this off has been around compensation and what's called residuals for writers working on shows for the streamers. So at the moment, if you're writing a show for a streaming service, Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, Disney Plus, whatever it might be, you as a writer feel that you are not being compensated fairly because there is no additional compensation for success. So if you were to work for a traditional broadcaster or traditional US network, you would be part of something called a reward for success model. So as your show was watched more, you would be given more compensation, whereas that doesn't really exist in this kind of wild west of streaming. And now that streaming has become a little bit more established in the space, it's really starting to cause issue, and is something that writers are looking to change. And of course, I think audiences will have noticed over the past few years that streamers tend to order shows with less episodes. They're going for more limited series. The days of the kind of 20 to 24 episode series is over. And while many would consider that to have increased the quality of TV that's on at the moment, for a writer, that's obviously a problem if suddenly you're in a writer's room for something that has, say, 3 or 4 episodes involved. You're going to get a lot less money. And going back to this issue of residuals, you're going to want to try and find pay from other sources. So that's one of the main issues. There are several at play here, but it's certainly the streaming revolution that has really contributed to this latest strike action.
Yeah, I'm sure that the streamers would argue, though, that the money is not the same as the major broadcasters or for a big hit like Seinfeld or Friends that ran for many, many years. They too are coming under a lot of pressure.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it really, it depends on what side of the fence you're on to guide really how you feel about all this stuff. So as has been reported wholesale across the trades, the TV trades this year, the streamers are not having a good time of it. Lots of them rushed into creation. So your Paramount Pluses, your Peacocks, big studios launching streamers, and they are finding turning a profit really quite difficult, and they're finding making TV shows that cut through quite difficult. And so they, at this point, are also looking to their margins. They're looking for money savings, which runs completely anathema with what the Writers Guild of America is asking for. And money is certainly a big issue within the strike negotiations. So at the moment, the Writers Guild is seeking a new contract that would increase pay and benefits by $429 million over 3 years. But they say the studios are only offering $86 million. So we've got teething problems with the streamers on one side, more than teething problems, really. And then you've got the writers, these thousands and thousands of writers on the other side. And it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out over the coming weeks and where they can meet in the middle.
Yeah, because those figures are very far apart. So we've seen shows like Jimmy Fallon and Kimmel already off the air. So how broad is this writer strike going to hit?
Soon the impact will be felt much harder than it is being this week. And again, assessing that impact is going to come over time, but certain shows such as Abbott's Elementary and Cobra Kai, big hits at the moment, have already publicly down tools. So their writers are part of the Writers Guild of America and they are no longer writing these shows. I think those are the kind of shows where this is going to really be felt. So these are multi-season shows that do have quite a lot of episodes. They have quite big writers' rooms. They tend to have a showrunner overseeing the writers. And relatively soon, they might start falling off the air. That will remain to be seen. As we know, it takes a very long time for a show to get from being written to being on the streaming service or being on the network. So it's not going to be felt quite yet. But in the meantime, as you've already established, the late night talk shows, they are going to start falling off the air as of this week. So shows like Saturday Night Live and Jimmy Kimmel, American viewers will notice that they are not on this week because they have writing teams who have immediately down tools. And those writing teams are on strike as of yesterday, and they write it's topical, so they write as the weeks go on, and therefore now what viewers will notice is that repeats of these shows, or maybe older dramas or whatever, will be added into the schedules. And this is actually impacting internationally as well. Plenty of countries around the world, including the UK over here, show reruns weekly of these late night shows. And again, they are going to have to be flipped in the schedules.
Yeah, so the jokes will be well and truly out of date. I mean, you know, the last time that there was a writer's strike, it cost the economy billions and billions of dollars. There must be a strong incentive to resolve it, but as you pointed out, they are far apart at this point. Are there talks going on?
There are talks taking place currently, but it could be a long wait. The last writers' strike in 2007 to 8, which was actually mainly around DVD residual, was interesting to see how far we've come and how the TV landscape has changed. That took 4 months to resolve, and I think that was seen as around an average length of time. There have been several writers' strikes over the past 4 or 5 decades. And like, as we discussed earlier, the financials really need to meet in the middle somewhere. They're quite far apart. The WGA has been negotiating with what's called the AMPTP, which is the American association that represents these streaming services and studios. Make no mistake, they have been negotiating for weeks and weeks. So there was a deadline of May the 2nd at midnight when the strike would take place, but it's not like they weren't trying to negotiate before that. And I think there were around 6 weeks of negotiations. So as these things are being worked out, there could be a fair few months of this standstill. And like you said, the impact on the local economy cannot be understated. TV shows and films generate huge amounts of money for the economy in which they are being shot. And if the writers are downing tools, then that obviously has a knock-on impact, as you said, that could affect things to the tune of billions of dollars.
Yeah, we'll watch with interest. Max, great to have you on. Thanks so much.
Thank you.